Hey there, my name is Neville Solomon, owner of JobWizard. I'm making this video so that I can walk you through the software of how it will work and hopefully, you know, how it will help your business. The way I the way I devised the interface of the software is based on what I've heard from painters and other contractors. I pretty much just asked them. I interviewed a whole bunch of painters and asked, what they're dealing with, what were their pains, and a lot of them told me, they deal with time tracking. These are the challenges they deal with: keeping track of employee hours, dealing with timesheets, and scheduling. So I made a mock-up of how what I could do to solve that, and I came back to them and asked them, would this help you? They said yes. So that's why I'm building this right now to help them out. And this is basically what you'll see here. Everything you see in the software is based on feedback that I heard from painters of what they would like. So this area that you're looking at right now, this is the dashboard. This is what you'll see when you first log into JobWizard. From here, you'll be able to see an overview of all the jobs that are going on within your business and recent activities of when your employees clocked in and clocked out. So as you see right here, this will show the most recent jobs that you've set in your system. And of course, recent jobs that have been clocked in and clocked out for. You'll also be able to see the progress of all of your jobs from this screen too, through this chart right here. So every time an employee clocks in and clocks out from their phone, the hours that they clocked in for will contribute to the progress chart of the particular job they clocked in for. So in this example, you'll see the customer name. Well, all of these, you'll see the customer name. You'll see the progress pie chart. You'll see the hours completed for the job so far, the hours remaining for basically what you set for the job as an estimate. You'll see the average amount of hours that have been worked per day, per working day on that job, the date started, and the budget used. The budget system, basically, you could assign a budget for a job. For this example, it's $550. And anytime you make a purchase towards something towards that job, you can simply go to the job screen and add it to the system, and then it'll contribute towards the second pie chart. This is good as it'll help you with job costing, with metrics and all that. And if for whatever reason you go over the budget, you'll get an alert system. There's an alert system here that's kind of like Facebook notifications. You'll get an alert and you'll click here and it would tell you that, hey, the Chris Miller job has went over budget at this particular time. Not only will it show if a job has went over budget, it will also show when a particular employee has gone over time. So if they worked more than, probably 40 hours a week, whatever you set for them, if they work beyond that amount of hours, you'll get a notification here saying, Jim Jones went over 40 hours a week at this time. Then it will also show when a job has went over the estimated hours. So if all the people that contribute to the business, to the job, work over 100 hours total, it'll go over and then it will say right here. So you can act appropriately. And you'll be able to scroll through all of your jobs such as this in that way. There are other ways that you could look at all your jobs at once, but it's just one way that you see from the dashboard. Scrolling down, you'll be able to see the recent activity. This is basically showing recent times that employees clocked in and clocked out at a job. For example, the most recent one, Roy Hansen, he clocked in and clocked out the Philip Baker job. And the fifth and the last task he clocked in for was prep. So employees can clock in, could clock in for different tasks while they're on the job. For this example, this particular one, there was prep, walls, and trimming. The last task he's done was prep on this day. It clocked in. It'll show the clock in time, it'll show the clock out time, and it'll show the duration of how long he's been clocked in for. This area is where you'll see if it was GPS verified, meaning that the software can let you know when they clocked in, where they clocked in at, and where they actually clocked in at the location they were supposed to clock in at. So if you see it's verified, you can simply click here, and you will see where they actually clocked in at. You'll see on a map where they actually clocked in at. It'll show the address too. You could also just play around with it as well. You could turn it to satellite and then, see a better view. You could move this guy down here, and you could kind of see like a street view. All option, of course, but basically it'll let you know where they actually clocked in at. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you actually go into an individual job screen. So each job has its own specialized screen where you could see more metrics regarding it and just more detail regarding it too. So I'm going to click into one of them now. So here we are inside of the job screen. Each job screen will have specific information about the job and specific metrics regarding it. Right here, it will show the customer name. It will show the date that the job started. Scrolling down, you'll see the main contact number of the job or the customer. And you'll also be able to add any additional numbers within the job. So if you want to add a separate contractor, or you want to add the wife or husband of the customer in question, you could simply do so in the edit job information or when you're adding a new job, and it will just show right under here. This will show whether the job is interior or exterior. This will matter for when you are rescheduling a job or reassigning employees from an exterior to an interior job, which I've made very easy in the scheduling system. Right here, it will show the class. So you're able to choose the difficulty of a job by assigning a class to it. You'll be able to do the same for employees. The reason I added this is it's of course optional, but the reason I'm adding this is so that you can easily assign employees to jobs without having to really remember their skill level. Moving on, this will show the customer and job address. Scrolling down, you'll see a bigger pie chart from earlier. This pie chart, like I said earlier, will show the progress of how a job is doing to completion. In this example, they did prep for 23 hours, and it shows right here. You'll also be able to add any, like I said earlier, employees will be able to log in for separate tasks. That means that if they had prep and walls and trimming to do, if an employee did 23 hours of prep and then did 24 hours of walls, it will show right here as a different color for walls, and then you'll see like another section pop up for walls. So this will be blue and this one will be green or something. This way you'll be able to know how much time an employee is spending on each task, or just know what fraction of your job is being spent on each task. That's pretty much the main premise of this. Over here, you'll see the budget chart, the budget pie chart, budget progress chart, whichever you want to call it. Any purchases that you've added into the system will contribute to this chart, and you'll see how you can add a purchase later on down the screen. Right here, it will show the total logged in team member hours. This means that any team member, any employee that has clocked in at this job or has contributed to this job whatsoever will appear on this list, kind of like a record. So for this example, it will show that Victor, a foreman, clocked in, well, he contributed 17 hours for this job. And the last task that he's done at this job was prep, as evident here. So 17 hours of this, prep. Scrolling down, this will be the same thing, the total login hours that contribute to this job, except it'll be specific for each task. So it's split up into different tasks and hours that have been done for each task. So for example, Victor did 17 hours for prep. Down here, you'll be able to see the team members currently clocking the job at the present moment. Right now, there's no one clocked in, of course. But if you're at your office and you want to know who's clocked in at the Chris Miller job right now, you can simply just go into the job screen, the Chris Miller job screen. You can come down to this part, and you'll see all the team members currently at that job right now doing work and what tasks they're currently doing. And of course, whether it's GPS verified. This will be the area where you can add purchases that go towards the budget. So for this example, the guy has clocked in black paint for $200 and painting suits for $110. You can just easily add a new purchase by clicking add purchase, pick the name, and then add the price, and then click save, and it'll contribute to this chart right here. Right here, it will show this is a preview of the scheduling component actually. So for scheduling systems that are out nowadays, scheduling software that's out there nowadays, they're really only geared towards businesses where employees go to the same place, the same building every single day. There's not really any scheduling systems out there that's made for employees that go out to multiple places outside the office. And then on top of that, places that can change on the fly, all of a sudden due to things like weather. So based on what parents have told me, I decided to fix it in this way. So it's kind of a squad-based system. So for every scheduled date that you've assigned to a job, you could choose the individual team members that are supposed to work there at that particular shift. So for this example, this job has 3 scheduled dates so far: the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. And I can click here, and then you will see the team members that are actually assigned on that specific date and time. You'll be able to add a new date for each job, reschedule a date, or remove a date for each job. Likewise, for every scheduled date, you could add a team member, reassign a team member, or remove a team member. This is just one way that you can interact with the scheduling component of the software through the job screen itself. You can also interact with it through the calendar, which is probably the main way you interact with it, or you can interact it with a particular employee, so you can add a specific job assignment for an employee. And it's all universal, so yeah, it's all global. So now I'm going to show you how it looks like when you add a new job into the system, and I guess how simplistic it is. There's 2 ways you add a new job into the system. You can do it from the dashboard, you can do it from the calendar. I'm just going to do it from the dashboard. So the adding new job process is simply just a 5-step process where you add the customer information, the job information, the scheduling, as in when you actually want the job to happen and the days you want it to happen, the team members you want to assign to that job, and then you're just verifying all the information. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through that. So I'm going to add a customer name. So I'm going to choose Barry Bonds. Here I'm going to add the customer number. So I'm going to put, let's see, for a random number, 64. Well, I guess this is already filled up. So I'm going to choose this number. And let's say I wanted to add his wife's number just in case. So I'm going to put wife. I'm going to say Christina. And the number I'm going to choose, I'm going to put another random number. So this will be your cell phone. And then I'm going to add the contractor. And that's another contractor. So I'm going to put it as alright, and I'll just simply add the address too. So I'm going to pick, obviously you won't pick an address, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to add an address. So Jump Street. It's going to be in I'm really bad at just randomly coming up with names. Okay. Idaho. And zip code this. Now, obviously, the system's going to need you to put a real address so that when they're using the phone, when the employee is using the phone, it can easily actually verify the GPS, because the phone doesn't actually know that address through Google with the GPS. It's not going to be able to actually verify the GPS location. So, of course, put in the right address, please. All right, so click Next. Oh, I seemed to forgot to put another number. Yeah, so you also want to make sure you put in the actual number. It'll remind you if you don't. So clicking Next. Now this will be the area where you're adding the job information. So for here, I'm going to add the predicted amount of hours, the estimated hours that's going to take to completion. For this example, I'm going to do 300 hours. It says it's going to take 300 hours to do this painting job. The budget that I wanted to set for this is $1,000. Now, this is the class system I talked about earlier, difficulty of job. So I'll say there's a class 2 difficulty of job, and it's an exterior job. Excuse me. This is the area where you can add the separate task for your painting job. Now, by default, it's just going to be paint. But if you want to add separate tasks for your employees to do and to see how they're doing for each task, and just know the fraction of what task for each job, you can do that. This is all optional. For this one, I'm going to do my usual prep work, walls, and trimming. You can add as many as you want. I'm going to click next, and then this will show the calendar where you want to assign the dates to. For the example, I'm just going to choose. It's going to be in January on the 15th. And it's going to start on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's going to be a 3-day job. Right here will allow you to pick the actual dates, the times. So basically, you'll pick a 9 a.m. If you pick 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., the system will know the schedule for all these 3 days from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The system will also be able to let you know how many of your actual team members, your employees, are actually available to work during that time, based on their current schedule within the system. This way, you'll always know, like if a customer calls and saying, "Oh, can you do the job on this Wednesday in January?" You can check the system and see if people actually be available and find your earliest dates. So yeah, for this example, I'm gonna pick the 15th, 16th, 17th. 42 team members are available, since I guess in this example I scheduled very far ahead. So all my team members are available. So I'm going to click next. And then this is the section that allows me to pick my individual team members for all those 3 days. So it will show, once again, that 42 team members are available on these 3 dates I've chosen. And this will show the list of those team members that was shown here. The list of team members, it will show their types. So there's 3 types in the system. There's the admin. Admins are people that admins are allowed to actually use the computer interface. Every other one is only allowed to access it from their phone, and only the part where they can clock in and out, or clock in other team members if you're a foreman. So I'm going to pick Little Man as one, and the foreman is going to be Peter. Actually, no, I don't want Peter. I want a more. This is a class 2 job, so I want a more skilled person. So I'm going to pick James as a foreman, and then I'm going to pick Timothy. So I guess all class 2 people. Like I said, this is all optional. You don't have to do anything with the class system. Just assign however you feel is necessary, of course. It's just that some people have told me they wanted, a class system where they could easily just know who's best for the job. So once I pick my members, I'm going to scroll down and click next. This should actually be a scrolling thing. I'm going to fix that later, where it's not all these people at once. So you can just scroll down. So I'll fix that later. So clicking next. This is where you'll verify all the information. Everything looks fine here, and you can always edit the information as needed. Everything looks fine here. All right. These are the scheduled work times, just to confirm. And these are the team members assigned to all these 3 times. So I'll just click confirm and save. Yep, and here it is. It's been added. You can see the details below. You can also change on the calendar or edit details about it by clicking this name below, such as here. All right, so now I'm going to show you how it looks inside the calendar screen. The calendar screen is where the person who's in charge of scheduling will be the most. So I'm going to go into there right now and show you how the scheduling component will work primarily. The calendar. The person who's in charge of scheduling, this is going to be the main place that they'll probably be at. This is where the direct interface where you'll see the scheduling component of the software. Right here, there's 2 ways that you could you can view your schedule. You can either do it from the calendar view, or you could do it from the weekly view. I'll demonstrate the calendar view first, and I'll just go to November because there's more jobs. You can also see jobs that are assigned in the past too, so that way just so you can know. Down here, you also see that the total currently scheduled hours that you have in your business for the future past the current day. So if you can see right here, you have 64 hours of work assigned in the future past the current day. So as you can see here, you'll see that every day it'll show the amount of jobs that they have for it, kind of intuitive, and you'll also be able to click into any job and see the jobs on that date, whether it's interior or exterior, and the time, and of course you'll be able to click any one and see the actual assigned people for it, just like on the job screen. But except it'll show all the jobs on this particular day, all the assigned dates for this day, I guess. I'm going to go into the recent one that we made. So this is the Barry Bonds one that we just made earlier, January 15th, and you can see that James, Littleman, and Timothy were assigned here. Actually, let me go into an earlier one, something with 3. I want to show that for each day, when you go into the screen, you could see you could reschedule a job, you could remove a time, schedule a job today on a specific date. So any job that's so any job that's in the system, you could schedule it for today and choose the team members too. This button right here is replaced with interior job. So for every so basically, I know when it rains and stuff, you have to move your guys from an exterior job to an interior job so you guys still have work, or do something similar to that so that all the guys still have work on that day. So I added this button here where you could do that in the event of rain. So you could click exterior, you click an exterior job and click replace with interior job. I guess for this example, I probably should set that up. There's no interior jobs scheduled in the future. But what would happen is if you click that, you would see a table of all interior jobs that are set in the future, scheduled past this date on the 5th. And it will show the customer name and their phone number. So that way you could easily call them up and ask, hey, it's raining today and we have guys available. Do you want to move your date up to today? So we can just move our guys to your place and do the job for you. And she says yes. You could just simply push the button, change the time if need be. If she doesn't want to do on the 11th that day, you could do another time, and then you would just click OK. And then this exterior job and all the people assigned to it will actually move to that interior job. You'll see in real time. It'll change to the interior job you just set. Now I'll show you the weekly view too. Some painters have told me they prefer the calendar view. Some painters told me that when they're scheduling, they prefer the weekly view. So I want to show you that both ways. There's both in the system. So right here, you'll see the the weekly view, like I said earlier. This section will show all the foremans within your business. It won't show just employees. It won't show employees, but it'll show the foremans. And you'll be able to see, on Monday, Harold is going to the more job. On Tuesday, he's going to the more job. If it was 2 jobs that day, it would say 2 jobs. This is the current day. Oh no. Whoops, gotta change that. But yeah, so you'll see that it will show the the job at hand and where it's supposed to be at. Whichever one you prefer. Alright, so now I'm going to show you well, this is a simple table right here. This is the table in the area of the software. You'll just be able to simply see all the jobs that are inside of the system. Every job that you added into Job Wizard will appear here, for record's sake, and just to go into the job screen if needed. Right here, it will show the customer name, of course. It will show the date that each job started. You could also sort the table as needed, if you want to make it chronologically or alphabetically. This area will show the total logged in time for each job. And this area will simply just show whether a job is deemed complete or not. So when you're inside a job, you can go and click the button that says it's complete, which I recommend you doing when it is complete, so that way it won't appear on the dashboard and clog up, basically dilutes you being able to see any other job. Okay, You can also search customer names as well. So if there's too many of them, you can just type in the name and it'll appear real time. And of course, you want to add a new job, you can do so here too. I forgot, this is the third place you can add a new job. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the place where you can see all of your team members and or employees, whichever you like to call them. In this page, in this area of the software, you'll be able to see all of your team members and employees in your business, and that will be clocking in and clocking out if needed. This table will show all of them. It will show their name, of course. It will show their class, and it will show the hours per week that they worked this particular week. This area will show if they went overtime. This section will show by how many hours they went overtime by. So this is the areas where you can get a quick view every week or so, or I guess every bi-week, of how many hours each employee worked. There's other ways that you could see when an employee, how many hours an employee is working, and make it more detailed. I'll demonstrate that later. But for now, I'm going to show you how it looks inside the employee screen. So I'm going to go into Antonio Moreno's screen. So each employee will have their own specialized screen, and it will show their name, what class they are. Right here will show how many hours they worked this week. For this example, no one has really been working in my software so far, so it'll be 0 hours worked this week. This will show the recent activities, so it'll be the same recent activity that you saw in the dashboard, except it'll be only for Antonio, or the team member in question. Right here is one of the ways you can interact with the scheduling system. It will show the schedule assignments only that Antonio is assigned to. So for this example, he has to be at Chris Miller's place at the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. You can make it chronological by clicking this area. So he has to be at Sean Hughes at the 4th, Chris Miller on the 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th. And this will show the time he's supposed to be there at. And it will show the duration of a shift. One question I wanted to answer, in case you may be asking, if anytime an employee, if at any time you change the schedule for an employee, they will get the notification on their phone that their schedule has changed. I know a few people have asked me that on certain occasions, so I just want to answer it here. So anytime, if I were to randomly, delete this assignment or add a new one just for him, or just reassign him to a different job on that day, he will get that notification on his phone. It will tell him that, hey, you've been moved from here to here, or you don't have work this day, you've been added on this day. It will tell him that. So that way there'll be less there won't be any long-winded communications between you and every employee that got changed. And you have more time to do other things. All right, so now I'm going to show you how it looks other ways that you can see your employee hours. You will be able to, alongside looking at this table, you'll be able to print. You can have the software spit out a PDF file, showing timesheets, showing like a detailed timesheet of when your employees worked. I'm going to show you that right now. You could click either the regular one or the detailed one. I'm going to show you both. Let me just go into my folder. Sorry, I had to remember where it was. Alright, so I'm going to go into the PDFs. This one is what would spit out if you were to click the regular weekly timesheet report. It'd basically kind of be the same thing as the table. It was, except just in like a, more prompt way. It will show that your company name, timesheet report, the week in question. Then it will show the name. It will show the class, and then it will show how many hours I worked this week. So just the same thing as a table, except in PDF form. Next, if you click the detailed timesheet report, you can see a lot more. It will show your company name, of course, on the first page, and the week in question. And then this is an example PDF, but Basically, every page will be specific for each employee. It will show the total amount of hours they worked, and then it will break that amount of hours down to every day of the week. So for this example, Larry worked 39.5 hours. You see on Monday he worked 8.5 hours, and break that down even more. You can see he worked at these two jobs at this time. Excuse me, at these times, and how many hours he worked for each one. So it's just a more detailed version that you can use for your records. So another question that people have been asking me, I want to link this software into QuickBooks. I understand that this is a PDF file. I eventually will want to link this software into QuickBooks, so that way you can simply push a button, all the information here will just simply go into the payroll system. For version 1.0 though, in order to save time and money to get this to you guys as soon as possible, for version 1.0 it will just be this way. We can see the PDF reports, or just view this how many hours your team members worked. In the future though, you will be able to use QuickBooks integrated, so you can save a lot more time on that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how it will look on the employee side when they're using a mobile device. Alright, so here is the model of the mobile version that the employees would be using in your business when they use Job Wizard. The mobile version is still in development at the time of this video, so I'm going to be walking you through the mock-up of basically what you saw when you were on the homepage of the website. Just going more in depth with it. So the employees, the app, it will be on Android and iPhone devices, so either or you'll be able to use them. Same for iPad and tablets. So for example, we're going to go through a scenario. So let's say John wakes up in the morning and he wants to find out his schedule for today. He will simply just go click the button. He will log into the system, into the app, and he would simply click work schedule, and then it will show his calendar for the day. So the calendar will be similar to the one on the computer end, except it will only show jobs specific for John or the employee in question. For this example, he has jobs on the 26th, 27th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, and he would just simply click one, and then it would show the job in question. So for example, it would show the customer name, the address, and the time. We made a few refinements since making these mock-ups, so it'll also show the customer number as well, so they can contact the customer if need be. So he knows his job for the day, so he's going to go to the place and get ready to clock in. He would simply go back here when he's ready and then click clock in. So now when he clicks the clock in button, it will tell him the jobs that he's assigned for today, of course, just in different ways. So it will say, you have one job scheduled for you today on the 26th, and it will show the job in question. And if he has two jobs in that day, it will just show two jobs right here, and you just pick one. So since there's only one, he'll click the job, Mr. Anderson, and when he's within 150 feet, he can start clocking in. At least it will verify that he clocked in. So the GPS verification, it will verify if he's within 150 feet radius of the address in question. So when he's ready, he would click clock in. Now, I guess there are a few more mock-ups, but only put around 6 up on the website. But basically, it won't actually clock him in until he chooses a task to clock in for. It'll be really simplistic and simple, but I did skip a few steps between that picture and this picture. Basically, it would just come to the screen, and then he would pick the task, and then it would clock him in. So I guess we skipped a few steps. This is prep. There's 3 tasks for this particular job: prep, balls, and trimming. He picked prep, and it'll show that he's currently clocked in at 9:02 a.m. for prep, and it'll show the customer name. This information will of course be sent to you on the computer end, and for records. Right here will show the timer of how long he's been clocked in, and then the timer for how long he's been clocked in for this specific task. So he's done 2 hours and 2 minutes for the total clock and time in prep. When he's ready to switch tasks, he will simply just click the button. He'll get a thing saying, "Are you sure you want to change tasks?" He clicks yes, and then it will just switch task and say he's currently clocked in for walls. It'll show when he first clocked in. Like I said, all this is set to the computer. Over here, it will show the total time he's clocked in, and of course the specific time he's clocked in for that specific task, walls. Let's say that he's done for the day. He hasn't done trimming yet, but he's done for the day. You just simply click the big red button right here that says clock out. Give him an alert saying, "Hey, you're about to clock out. Are you sure you want to clock out?" Click yes, and then he's clocked out for the day. Excuse me. It'll show him the time he clocked out, the date, and what job in particular. Give him a little more, verification of when he clocked in and when he clocked and how long he's been clocked out for. And I do want to say, I was talking to team member, and we came up, we understand that sometimes an employee may forget to clock out onto the system. So how it's going to work is, if an employee forgets to clock out, every midnight the software will check for people that haven't clocked out, and then if it finds that someone has clocked out, it'll basically put in the system that they clocked out at the time their shift was supposed to end. So if he had an assignment from 9 to 5 and he didn't clock out for the day, at midnight the software will just fill in the blank and say that he clocked in. It'll clock him out, but then it'll say that he clocked out at 5. So that way, you don't get any missing out. You don't have any extra hours that aren't needed. All right, that's pretty much it for the entirety of JobWizard. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm always, I get back as soon as possible through email. My phone number is in my signature of my email. You can always check that to call me if you have any detailed questions. If you'd like to set an appointment to speak about the software and just learn more about it, I could do that too. Just let me know. Shoot me an email. I'm always available. All right, you guys have a great thank you. Enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. You guys have a great day, week, and I will continue to keep you updated with how the software is going.